Badass business owners, welcome to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast, where each episode we work on getting you to $100,000 in take-home pay. So if you're all ready to boost your profits, increase your sales, improve your processes, and develop stronger teams so you can stop living job to job, then let's dive in. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to another episode of the Local Small Business Coach Podcast. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you are fired up and ready to kick some butt this week. That's our mission. Every week we want to be fired up, make things happen. You know what? Provide for our families, chase our dreams, chase our goals, and make a lot of customers as happy as pie. Because when they're happy as pie, we are happy as pie. At least that's what we want to do. Because if they're happy, they keep coming back. And when they keep coming back, we keep making more sales. And that's how we grow our business. And you know what's amazing about that? That's actually going to be our topic for the day. As you know, last week we started a 3-part series on growing your sales. Because what we want to do is we want to start working on, more ways that you can grow your business. Now, here's the thing. More sales doesn't necessarily mean more profit in your pockets, because ultimately our goal is we want to grow your profits, because it's all about putting more money in your pockets. But at the same time, I also recognize and realize that you need to have sales to be able to increase those profits. Yes, you can increase your profits dramatically, even doing the business that you're doing today. But that's a different topic for a different day. We've talked about that in the past. We'll continue to talk about that in the future. But for last week, this week, and next week, I just want to focus on increasing your sales. And as you might recall from last week's episode, there are 3 main buckets of where we get sales from. The first bucket is we create new customers. And last week we dove in and we talked about the different ways that you can create new customers, people that are new to your business, they've never used it before, and how to get them in the door. This week we're going to talk about how often those customers come back, because that's bucket number 2, is the frequency of use of your current customers. And the third bucket that sales come from, and the way you increase your sales, is by increasing your average ticket, increasing the amount of money each customer spends. We're going to spend time on that next week. So you definitely want to make sure that you take the time, if this is in the future, that you listen to the episode right before this one, which is episode 214. This is 215, and next week is 216. But they're not numbered anymore. But you want to make sure you listen to all 3 episodes, because together they're going to help you put together an awesome sales plan, especially if you do the exercise at the end and really push yourself to dive in and brainstorm. Now, before we jump in, the thing I want to do is I want to go over our quote of the week. And our quote of the week is this: "It is not your customer's job to remember you. It is your obligation and responsibility to make sure they don't have a chance to forget you." And that's by Patricia Fripp. And I like that quote because I think it ties into what we're talking about. The way that you get repeat customers and you increase that customer frequency piece of the equation is by creating something that really pushes and drives your customers in your community to continue to use your business, to be that repeat customer. And by the way, regardless of your business, you can have repeat customers. Now, some of you, it's a no-brainer. You know what? They buy your product every week, they come back. They need your services every month, they come back. Some of you are going to say, well, Tammy, I have a carpet cleaning business. You know what? They're only needing me every few years. Don't worry, we've got something for you as well. Or for example, I'm always picking on septic tank people. You know what? They only get used, every 7 to 10 years, depending upon the size of the house. But there's a way to increase your customer frequency. So we'll get back to that, because here's the thing. Hang on a sec. Let me kind of back up for a second. Even if I take that septic thing, I have a septic tank, okay? And here's the thing. I create a customer frequency. Even on something that's only done every 7, 10 years by this. My own personal home. Guess what? The same company had been doing it. They had done 3 of them because I had a problem as well. So the same company, I had customer frequency. I used them 3 times within a 10-year period. But then I have another customer frequency with a septic tank people because I refer people to get their septic tanks right. And as a real estate agent, I have recommended this other company that now does my home, but I refer this other septic company. I've probably have sent them as a repeat customer of theirs. Even though it's my clients paying, I've created frequency for them because guess what? I have sent them probably 20 different or more. I don't remember, about at least 20 different customers to use their products or services. So even if you think that you have one type of customer that's only going to use you once every 5 to 10 years, I really want to make sure that you're paying attention to this episode because there's other ways to create that frequency. Like I said, sometimes you create frequency through others. Now, why is frequency one of those things that are on our list today? Well, here's the thing. Because if you have, say, 100 customers and they're spending $50 a week, so so you got 100 customers a week spending $50, we know that that's $5,000. Well, you can either try to get 10 more customers and get that up to 110 and spend that $50. So there's an extra $500. Or you can work on getting 10 of your existing 100 customers to come back more often, which creates the exact same thing. You've created 10 new sales at the $50, which gets you the $500. So you can see how it's very similar to each other. And by the way, who's easier to get? 10 brand new people to your business that have never heard of it? Or is it easier to get 10 people that already love you to come back more often? You're going to find that it's called a cold customer when they're new to you and they've never used your business. And it's called a warm customer when they've already used your businesses or services or they're familiar with it. So those are obviously a lot easier to do. Matter of fact, let's talk about some of the business models that are out there today that use this particular bucket to their advantage. Matter of fact, I would say it's even crucial to building their business and to their success. Well, the first one and the most obvious one that we deal with on a regular basis are big box retailers. Take grocery stores. The grocery store model is that there's a certain percentage of customers that they get that come back, believe it or not, 3 times a week. Now, you might know somebody in your family or someone you're related to or a friend who always seems like they're at the grocery store. Some people stop at the grocery store every day on their way home. Some people do a massive grocery shopping and then they kind of come back through the week once or twice to get the rest of the stuff that they need through it. So grocery store models aren't about new customers. Their whole thing is, yes, they want new customers, but their big thing is they want you to come back over and over and over. That's the grocery store model. If you take other big box retailers, they have the same thing. Now, they might not be able to catch you every single week, but they are trying to get you to come in at least every week for something. For example, just take Home Depot, right? Home Depot people and Lowe's and Ace Hardwares, all those kinds of places, Costco's, whatever. But a lot of these places, what they do is they hope that you come in at least once a week to work on the project that it is that you're working on. So if you're a weekend warrior, they know that you're going to come in 1 week to work on your yard, 1 week to come work on your screen door, 1 week to come work on whatever. It's something every week. There's a project that you've taken on. They also like the contractors and the people that are building stuff because they know they're going to see them every single day as they work on their particular products. But they also know that they've got some people that are going to come back once a month, once every 2-3 months because of some other project that they're working on. And they know that they just want to be that go-to person because they know that if you give you great customer service, yeah, you might not come up back weekly or daily or whatever the case may be, but they also know that when you have a need, you're going to come back. So your business might be worth 15, 16 trips to Home Depot, for example, a year. And that's that frequency still coming up. So big box retailers, they count on that. You know what? The Best Buys of the world, they want to know that every time you get an itch for a electronics device, they want to be your go-to electronics device. They don't want you going to every place under the sun. They really want you to be able to come back and use their business. So frequency is huge out there. There's tons of people that do it. Now, you might be saying, okay, Tammy, that's great. Those are big box retailers. What's this got to do with me? Well, guess what? There's a lot of local businesses that also depend on this frequency model. There are folks that have weekly services and monthly services that they really want to try to build. For example, it's the key piece to people who are pool folks, landscapers, cleaners. There's a lot of businesses that count on somebody using their services every single month. For example, hair salons, if you've got a dry cleaning business, things like that. People know that the way that you have a successful ongoing business and a regular income is you really need to have this frequency piece to your business, because you want to be able to count on that. So you want to say that you have, for example, if you're a landscaper, you want to know that you have 30 jobs that you, for the most part, are going to have every single month at an average of $50, because then you can kind of budget and know what you're going to have. Are all 30 people going to use you? Maybe not. You might have an error rate of plus or minus 5. But at least you know that, hey, 25 out of 30 more than likely are going to use my services. You can count on that income. So weekly and monthly services are huge, not just the ones that go out to the houses, but like I said, also for folks that are in some of the brick and mortar businesses, because they want to, because they want to look nice, they want to feel good. My ice cream store was about that. I wanted people to come every single week. So one way was through the family night. I knew that I could count on certain families to come every single Tuesday because we ran a discount on the ice creams. Then it was my goal is, how do I get them to come back at least once more through the week where they pay the regular price? Because if they only came in on the cheap night and they didn't come back the rest of the week, I wasn't going to really make any money. But it was all about frequency. And ice cream is one of those things that make you feel good. So everybody's business, you can look at your business and I can guarantee you there is a frequency component that's tied to it. The other thing is you want to be that go-to person. Just like I talked about earlier with me in that septic company, I'm that go-to person who's going to refer out a lot of business. So while the actual customer doing the using their service may not be the person who they get the frequency from, there is another business owner who might be able to give you a lot of business, and that's the person that you want to wine and dine and keep as a reoccurring customer. I'm that when I think of my septic company, they want me in their corner because I'm that customer. I'm an indirect customer, but I'm that customer that creates that pipeline of ongoing and consistent basis. And by the way, a regular customer can be that same thing. They could be a major referral source for you because they're telling their family, their friends, their community, they're getting online. So once again, you always want to know who are your big referral sources, because they're the ones that are creating that customer frequency for you. Because if they get cut off, because here's the way you want to look at customer frequency. And if that person, that source got cut off, would that hurt you? In which case, that person or that source is actually a major component of your customer frequency. So I don't care if you've got a business that's once and done, you have someone that is part of that customer frequency. So as you can tell, I'm a big fan of customer frequency. I think that's a huge way for you to build your business. Now, with that said, let's take a few moments and let's dive into some of the things that you need to keep in mind when it comes to how can you create that customer frequency. So obviously the number one thing for you to drive customer frequency is customer service. It's the number one reason that people recommend you, and it's the number one reason why people come back to you, is the customer service that you provide. The second part of that is not only do you have to give the best customer service out there, you also need to make sure that you are the quality of what it is that you do, the quality of work, the product, the service, whatever the case may be. It also needs to be top notch. But that's always going to be the case. Great customer service, great product or service. That's going to be your number one thing to create customer frequency, because that's going to be, let's face it, they're not going to use your services weekly, monthly, yearly, whenever, if they have a bad experience. They're not going to recommend you if they have a bad experience. So while it's a broken record, it is so true that, you know what, it is by far probably 70% of the equation, if not 100% of the equation, but definitely at least 70% of the equation as to why people continue to use you. So you need to make sure that you are constantly raising that bar on customer service, setting up a great reputation that's out there, because that's what's going to continue to get people to come back. Because if they have a bad experience, they're not going to go back. I'll bet you all of you can think of a place of business that you will never go back to because of the poor service or because of the poor quality of the service or the product. You know, I joke around, we have this KFC here in town that people have a love-hate. They go back because of the KFC name, but the minute they go there, they remember why they never want to go back there again, and they don't come back for another 6 months or so because of the poor service and the poor quality of the food and product. So if it wasn't for the name brand, the place would have been out of business years ago. But it really goes to show you kind of got both pieces to it. So your name will carry you so far, but what you provide for them will really create that consistency that you're looking for. Which kind of leads into the next one, which is how you make them feel. and creating that need. It's kind of a two-part thing to it. If you make people feel good, they want to come back. They want to have that experience. So, for example, food places are really good at this. They create an experience for people. When I look back at my family night, not only was I creating something because of the price, but believe it or not, it was a fun night out for these parents to take their kids to get some ice cream. So it was how we were making them feel that night. For that night, the parents got to be heroes with their kids. And we created some fun and people loved coming in. There was a buzz and whatnot. So sometimes how you make somebody feel, I'll bet you there's some place that you shop on a regular basis that makes you feel good when you go in there. It could be the customer service they give you when you walk in. They all say hi. It could be that, it could be a local family diner or, hole in the wall that you love going there because the owners just make you feel so warm and loved and welcomed when you're there. That's how those local places. Have you ever been to like some complete dive that should have no reason to be as popular as it is? And the reason that it's so popular is because of how they make people feel. All right. So that's a huge one. The second part of that was creating a need. Sometimes you can create something that people know they need your services. Sometimes people don't use you because they don't know they need you. And sometimes you can create a false I'm going to use that word. You can create a false need. Now, that doesn't mean lie to people and give them something that they don't need. What I mean by that is, we'll go back to the ice cream for a second. People don't need ice cream, but if they start associating that every time they came to my business and they got some ice cream, which they loved, and they got to feel good afterwards, I've created a need for them to come there because they want to feel good. They want to re-experience that again. So it's not a false need, other than the fact that they don't technically need it, but I've created an experience where they need it. If my car breaks down, there's a guy here in town that, I've created a need. He's the guy I need to see if my car breaks down. He's created that with a lot of people here in town because I don't need the BS and the hassle from the other people that are here that can put work on my car. But he's created a need that I know he's the one that I need to go to because I'm going to have a great experience. He's not going to try to gouge me. He's not going to try to rip me off. So it's a need. Other places that you've probably seen it in your communities, maybe there's a local donut place. Have you ever seen those donut holes? Holes. Those donut companies that are like I was going to say hole in the wall is what's got me screwed up. And then I started laughing at donut hole. Okay. Maybe I'm the only one finding that funny, but for example, in a town I used to live in, there was this corner donut shop and everybody and their mother would line up to go to this donut shop. And honestly, the donuts weren't that, it was a popular place in town. Everybody wanted to go there. And I had moved away and I came back and I went there and I went, you know what? Why does everybody come here? These aren't the greatest donuts in the world. But you know what? They had created an experience. They had been there forever and a day. Everybody went there for their donuts. So those places. You want to create your place is very similar to that. Now, with that said, there are some other ways that you can create a frequency. Okay. So we know we're going to get them to love you. We know we're going to get them to love your products or services, and all of that. So we've got a great foundation there. So now the issue becomes, how do you get them to continue to come back more often? What are some other things that you can put in place to create that frequency? Well, so let's just knock out a couple of those. One, bounce back coupons. Bounce back coupons are things that you give out to people that trigger something for them to want to come back. For example, you may have gone to a business and at the end of the transaction, they give you something that says, hey, come on back and get a free whatever. Then that's a bounce back coupon. Or it might say that if on your next visit, you're going to get 20% off. Thanks for using me. You see this sometimes on online businesses. You see this in regular businesses. It's just a bounce back coupon. So is there something that you can give them that they'll put on the fridge or they'll put on the counter that will automatically trigger them to come back? If you have a spa, for example, you can do that. You can say, hey, come on back. Maybe they came in for one thing, but now you're saying, here's a coupon. Next time you come in, try to get your eyes done, whatever. I don't know, pick something and say, so now you're giving them a different service at a reduced rate that makes them want to come back. So they're like, well, I've always wanted to try that. Well, here's 20% off, 25% off. Now they can come in and they can try it. So you've created another time for them to come back to your business. And by the way, when they come back, odds are not only will they get that new service that you've offered, they'll probably also make sure that they come in for whatever it is they've always used you for. So bounce back coupons are a great way to get people to come back or create that need, that sense of urgency. Also make sure they are dated. Make sure there is a time frame on them. Don't make them open-ended that they can last forever. Try to get them back within the next 30 days. Depends on your business. Could be sooner than that. It could be in the next week. Have you ever noticed that on when you go to a lot of restaurants right now, they'll put on there that if you fill out this code and you do the survey in the next 7 days, you can get a free whatever. It's creating that sense of urgency, and the goal is to bounce you back, because they know that if you do the survey, not only does it benefit them, they get the survey, but on the second thing is you're going to have a free taco or a free drink or whatever, and you're going to come back to the business. It creates bounce back. It brings you back. Now, tied to that really closely is what's called frequency or loyalty cards. Some of you probably have them. Buy 7 drinks, get your 8th one for free. Buy 5 smoothies, get the 6th one for free. Loyalty cards are used all the time. Some people use the physical cards. You're starting to see them in apps on people's phones now. Dunkin' Donuts does this. They suckered me in. I don't even drink coffee, and I have a Dunkin' Donuts one. They have a few things that you can get that's not coffee related. For example, I like the vanilla bean culotta. And what I'll do is, I do the app, and at 200 points, you get a free one. It keeps you coming back because you get your points up to like 170, and you're like, oh, well, I've got to go back to Dunkin' because I got to get those other 30 points so I can get my free culotta kind of a thing. So frequency loyalty cards are great. And by the way, you can do that no matter what your business is, because it could be done as a referral type of loyalty card. So for example, if we go back to, if you've got a business similar to my septic people that people don't use it on a regular basis, or maybe you have a carpet cleaning business or whatever, it's going to take someone, let's just go with the carpet cleaning business. It might take them, a year or two before they would ever, use 5 services to get your 6th one for free. But maybe their loyalty card is either they use it or they have a friend who they recommend over there. And then after they've recommended 4 people to use you, they get their house done for free. So there's all kinds of ways to create a frequency loyalty cards. So referrals are a great way to do that, which kind of ties into the next one, which is referral programs. Because what you can do is you can create these loyalty things where people escalate up with what they get with that. For example, I know some people where it might start off with something small, like they might get pizza. And then the next time they do it, they get a dinner out at some fancy restaurant or whatever. For example, there's real estate agents that on their 5th referral, they'll send them on a trip to Hawaii. And why can they do that? Because let's just say it depends on their market, but let's just say they make $5,000 every single time. After their fifth referral, that client may have been worth almost $25,000 to that person. So if they spend $1,000 or so sending this person off to Hawaii, I know it costs more than that. I'm just using it as an example. Or it could be a trip to Vegas. It's a win-win because the agent's gotten all that money. In the meantime, they've been able to send people to Vegas. And some of you can do that. Some of you guys have a very high price point where, if you're painting houses and you're getting $2,000 to $3,000 per pop from some of these people, it might be you have a neighborhood that is in need of being painted. For example, I have a community right now. We have several communities that everybody's getting their notices because they're aging to that 10-year mark and everybody's getting it. So you know what? Just find some of those people and start offering them that they start recommending your business to their neighbors who also have to get their house painted. Maybe there's something that you can do for them, and you're going to have to weigh it based off of the cost of that, because if they're going to get a free pizza, their motivation is going to be different than if they can win a trip to Hawaii or to Vegas or whatever. I mean, be creative. I'm just throwing out some different ideas. So referral programs can be a great way to create business for those of you, especially the higher ticket people. You can really, and if they really love you and they can refer some people out, you can give some really nice prizes, and it's definitely worth it because of what you're able to the sales that you can create off of that. So that's another way to create that frequency. Next one I put down is disposable items, where people have to come back for more. That really goes into things that make you feel good, or maybe that you have different options. You have option A, which is, hey, this isn't going to necessarily last forever. I'm just letting you know, but it's going to cause them to have to come back. And they're like, no, that's fine. I'd rather come back every single month, or versus something that, you can do, and it's going to last you 6 months to a year. What pops in my head right now, I don't know why it popped into my head, is think about air filters. There's air filters that last for 30 days, and there's air filters that can last 3 months or more. People make a choice at that time. Don't knock it as long as it's doable. But there's a lot of people that choose to change their air filters out every month. It's cheaper. They'll do that. And they've never necessarily done the math or care that, you double that price and you actually can get 3 months out of it versus 1 year. They're willing to do that. They're willing to come back more often with the cheaper products. So just think about your business. Is there something that might fit into that? And can you take advantage of that disposable item that you happen to sell that people want to come back over and over for? Another option that is actually getting easier and easier for local business owners to do is staying in contact with people. Emails, newsletters. People in sales have always known this, that they need to stay in contact with their customers. For example, even real estate agents, the goal is to stay in contact with them because odds are they're going to sell or buy within the next 5 to 7 years. But more than likely, they probably know people and everything else, and you want to stay top of mind. In the real estate world, there's been all these surveys and says people would go back and use their agent if they could find them or if they can remember even who they were. Kind of a situation which is sad, but that just comes down to people not staying in contact. Well, guess what? You can stay in contact with people now as well. I mean, heck, you can even do it for free. You just have to capture their emails, which is so easy nowadays because you just got to collect it at the time of service. Most people are reaching out to you using email or some other form. Just collect it at the time. And here's the thing. You don't just email them all the time saying, do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? Hey, do you need me? Do you need me? Do you need me? No, it could be this simple. You sit down and you come up with 12 things that have to do with helping them. They could be informational. It could be reminders. For example, if you are an air conditioning person, an email every 3 months or every month reminding them, hey, it's time to change out those air filters. And by the way, did you know? And then give them a little tip. So it could be 12 tips that you give people. But what you do is you get them into that funnel and it keeps you top of mind awareness. And for example, MailChimp, you can have up to like 1,000 people and it's free at the time of this recording. But there's other programs that can do the same kind of a thing. All you have to do is stay in contact with them. And by the way, you can pre-program these things to go out, or it takes like maybe an hour a month for you to be able to send these out. You don't have to handcraft something to every single person. So if you've collected all these emails and stuff and you can use these programs, you know what? They're wonderful. They're great ways to stay in contact with people and to remind them that they need to come back and use your business. It's staying that top of mind awareness. This is growing. This is getting bigger and bigger. And they've really, with today's technology, made it easy for local business owners to be able to do that. For example, if you do have that spa, you know what? That's perfect. You give them something to do with relaxation. If they're coming to you, if you're a massage therapist or you have a spa or something like that, and they're coming to you because they want to be relaxed, then you know what? Of your 12 things that you send out, every once in a while you're going to sprinkle in your business, but they might be tips on how to stay relaxed and stay calmed. It could be referrals to certain motivational people that you really like that you have found to help keep you calm. I don't know. You just want to be a giver of information, and it doesn't have to be super long. You just have to pop in, and it's honestly, if you just do 12 and you recycle them every single year, nobody's going to remember what you sent them a year ago. So it's not like you have to create 50 new pieces of content. You just have to sit down and create 12 things that you can send to people that kind of keep you top of mind awareness and keep that frequency going. So that's a great way. I really recommend that for a lot of people. I should do a podcast one day on that because I think that's a really great thing for you. Let's see here. We talked about family nights that I did with Baskin. Sometimes you can partner with another business. At one point on my family night, we partnered with the pizza place, and you get a slice of pizza for $1. You get ice cream for $1. So basically, your kid could have a piece of pizza and an ice cream. And guess what? They were happy as clams. The parents were happy as clams. And guess what? They were able to take a family of 5 out, get them a piece of pizza and an ice cream for $10 at most, depending upon the age of the children and how much they ate. Yeah, it might cost you $3 because you got 2 slices of pizza and the ice cream cone. So it's $3 for a family of 5. You're still at $15. Even with tax, you're still under $20 feeding a family of 5. You can't beat those. So any other types of family nights or anything that you could do is another great way to create that customer frequency, especially if you do it weekly. We did ours every Tuesday. Like I said, most of these families we saw every single week or at least 2 or 3 times a month. So it's a great way to be able to do that. Now, this final one is a big one, and I want to make sure that you all really keep this in mind. Some of the reasons that we don't have a good customer frequency is where we create a business that becomes once and done. And it's not so much that our product or service is once and done, although that is the problem. We've talked about ways to get past that earlier. But I like to think of it as accidental once and done. We have broken processes. So when they come in and for example, you've heard me moan and groan throughout the episode of how hard it has been to find a roofer in 2 different towns to have a roofer that is consistent and you can constantly use. Well, here's the thing. If I had a roofer that I could count on and use, I'm going to continue to do that. But here's where they fall down. When they do the work, it's fantastic. When I talk to them, they're very friendly. So in their mind, they think that they're very friendly and they think that they do great work. They are absolutely correct. But they have such broken processes when it comes to communication, their website, getting back to people, all these different pieces that are broken. And sometimes our customer frequency is killed. It is slaughtered by the processes that we have in place because things are so broken. How they schedule, how they're on time. There's something broken in a process which is causing them not to get that repeat business that kills off their frequency. I want to make sure that each and every one of you stops and says, where am I losing customers? Because if you're losing customers, because remember, one goal is to gain customers, but if you're losing them, that's not helping you either. You're constantly having to replace the ones that you lose. But here's the thing, when you don't lose customers and they keep coming back, that's where you get the customer frequency for. See how they all play in together? So if you're not getting that customer frequency, it's either because you're not creating an environment where you want to have that customer frequency, which is what we've been talking about. And for some of you, you're not getting that customer frequency because of the broken processes that you have in place, whether it's communication, scheduling, whatever, the way you do the product. It just, you tell people it's going to take 2 hours and it constantly takes 3 hours. They get frustrated. Remember earlier I said I changed septic companies? It wasn't that the septic company did a bad job. It's just their processes are horrible. I can't count on them to be able to do it in a timely manner. I can't count on them to be on time, and I can't count on them. And my reputation is huge. So while I kept using them for me personally, I was never giving them out to my customers because I knew what I was getting with how bad they were when it comes to those things, but I wasn't going to give that to my customers. And then it got to a point where I said to myself, hey, why am I giving myself less than what I'm even giving my customers? And guess what? My last septic was done by the people I keep recommending because I realized I didn't need to put up with their broken processes. So you want to make sure that you look at that what processes are broken. And as processes are creating poor customer service, they're creating poor quality, all those things that we talked about that get people to continue to come back. If you refer people and they never get back to your people, that's a broken process because it's how they get back to people. That's something that has killed off people. Like there's certain vendors that I would use, but when I give their name out and nobody ever calls them, never calls that agent back, never calls that customer back, guess what? I'm going to stop putting my name behind somebody if I'm going to continue to look like a fool every time that I give them out. So hopefully that's making sense. You want to make sure that you're also looking at any broken processes and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, I just looked up and saw that this thing's already at a half hour in. Hopefully you can see there's some really good nuggets, and hopefully you were able, even if you're only able to pull out one thing in here or two that you can use to start driving your frequency, you need to do it. All right. Like I said, our goal is how do we drive more sales? And what I'm thinking is at the end of this series of driving sales and getting more sales, we'll take a moment and kind of dive into how do you keep more of that profit. That makes sense. But for right now, I really want you, this is going to be your action item for today. Hopefully you've been thinking of some items as we've been going through the podcast and you've been listening and you probably had some things popping in. I want to make sure that at some point today, whether you do it right now, which is ideal, on your lunch hour, by the time you get home, it depends on when you're listening to this. I want you to take a good 10, 15 minutes and I want you to think customer frequency. What can you do in your business to create your customers to come back more often? What can you run with that is going to get folks to just step up one more thing? If they come to you once a week, how do you get them in twice a week? How do you get more people to buy into a monthly service? Maybe you don't have something that can be done as a monthly service. Think through your business and is there something you can create that's a monthly service that they might want? And it could be and sometimes it could be something as simple as you just come by once a month and check on something. There are some people that have that need. It may not be everybody, but there are some people that are paranoid and they want to make sure that it gets looked at. You're giving them a peace of mind by coming by. That doesn't mean gouge them and overcharge them, but it might be something that even for $20, you just come by and make sure everything looks good. I want you to think about how can you get them to come back more often? How can you get them to refer you out more often? Who are those business people that constantly refer your business? How do you work on that? For example, when we were talking about a carpet person needs households to be able to come do their carpets. But they also need to have folks like real estate agents who are constantly referring them and being a source of their business. And a lot of times what I hear is people are always trying to chase that one off. Don't forget, go find these people that refer on a regular basis. They actually can create more business than you can handle, and you don't necessarily need to go do Home Advisors or any of these other places that want you to pay for their services. Sometimes you just have to go be nice to another business that constantly refers out your business, if that makes sense. So, it could be, you could be a furniture mover, and when you take all the furniture out, their carpets are trashed, and you can say, hey, by the way, have you, do you have somebody that can clean your carpets? I know somebody that can do that. You know what? I'd get to know every single one of those carpet people, every single one of those movers, because they're more willing to recommend you. That's one reason why networking is so good, because if other people know about your business really good, when it pops up, they're going to recommend you. So there's so many, which I didn't even cover that. Networking is another great way to create that customer frequency through those people. So as you can see, it's when you really start thinking about it, there's all kinds of ways that you can create frequency with your current customer base, whether it's the actual customer themselves or the people that are constantly referring you. So take your 10, 15 minutes today, dive in, start coming up, brainstorm. You don't have to do every single one of them. Take off your I can't hat or I'll never make that work hat. Put that aside. And I just want you to brainstorm. And you brainstorm and you come up with 10, 15 items that you can do. And then I want you to pick out those 3 things that you can start and put and really implement in this coming year. And one of them right away. So you want to come up with 3 things. One of them you can start right away. The others you can put a plan in place to be able to do that. And that's going to help you start driving your sales. All right. Now with that, don't forget, go back to the last episode. Make sure you listen to that one on how to get new customers. And don't forget, next week, we're going to talk about how to increase the amount of money that they spend with you. It's a great 3-part series. I love talking about the 3 buckets of sales. Matter of fact, I'm going to be putting a course together on this because I think it's that powerful that if you really understand your buckets and what goes in them, it really helps you come up with some great ideas for you to be able to drive your sales and drive your business. So if you happen to be getting any great ideas out of this, feel free to email me. I love hearing from you guys when you tell me that, hey, you got a particular nugget or something that really helped you out. Email me over at Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com. I'd love to hear from you. I want to welcome all of the new folks that have been joining the podcast over the last couple of weeks. I've been finding and seeing that we've got some new listeners. I love every single one of you. And, I love the fact that I've got some long-term listeners that are checking in with me, whether it's on the Facebook group or they're sending me emails telling me that their businesses are blowing up, and it's a slow burn. And you know what? Now that it's 3 months later, 6 months later, 7 months later, a year later, they're starting to see their business really take off just by implementing some of the little nuggets. It's not because of me. It's because of you. You guys are out there busting your butt and doing the actual work. All I'm doing is planting the seeds. It's up to you to water them and to run with them. I can't take the action. You have to take the action. All I'm here for is to inspire you, to help give you ideas, to teach you the things that you need to know. And if I'm doing that and you're running with it, I'm excited for you. And right now I have to go because one of my dogs who sleep underneath the thing when I record is going nuts because now he wants to get out of the room because he's been locked in here with me. But with that, I'm going to get out of here and I will see you next week where we will talk more about increasing that dollar average. Bye for now. Hey, badass business owners, before you go, just one thing. If you ever feel like you're alone and you would love to be with a like-minded group of individuals, head on over to our Badass Local Small Business Owner Facebook page. We have no spamming, no advertising, anything like that. Just your questions, mine, and we just kind of help each other out, grow our businesses, and share knowledge. You can feel free to know that you're in a safe place and ask your questions of people that are actually going to care about you. So once again, head on over to Facebook. It's the Badass Local Small Business Owner page. You can also hit the show notes and it's right there. Once again, it's going to be stuff and people out there that care about you and helping you grow your business.